Welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caleb Teskey, and joining me for the second time is Mike Crawford from the Young Jurks in Boston. Mike, thank you for being here again, man.
Thank you for having me, Caleb.
No, I apologize. We're both a little slow on the draw tonight. You have to forgive me. I'm completely exhausted, but this is like, boy, I'm really glad to have you here. And I want to say I've been following a lot of your footage, man. I listened to some of the podcasts and the interviews you did with some of the employees. And boy, man, it's impressive how long you've stuck with this, really. And I gotta say, on a personal note, as someone who kind of is doing similar things as you, that's impressive to stay on a story that long. And you got interviews, you got witness testimony, you got OSHA reports, or you're pressuring officials to do their goddamn jobs. And it seems like the way I'm reading it, this was kind of getting swept under the rug, And so good work, Mike. I'm impressed.
It hasn't been easy. Definitely thought a few times about stopping, just giving up. And it's funny because the work, if you're not doing it, it's like, I have these thoughts all the time. It's like when I'm not doing it, like when I take a break, I want to go back. You know what I mean? And so when something like this happens where gets advanced, you almost can't help it. It's just like an obsession, to help these workers at this point. I can't help myself. I can't help myself not to help them.
And I feel you. I actually left a show last night I was at because I was getting a couple of stories coming in. I was just like, I have to take this, and it's just, we'll see these guys again,
Yeah.
But yeah, so aside from that, really, it looks like this one guy, he mentioned something about your methods. He was questioning your methods, and I remember chiming in on this. And you said sometimes, I believe your quote was, "I can be a dick sometimes," and I said sometimes you need a guy like that to get in deep on these kind of stories. Let me ask you, like on a weird tangent, like how do you pick your spots, man? How do you know?
I don't know,
to,
man.
turn it up.
Depends. You might be asking the wrong guy, because like I have, same issue as everyone, like one minute I'll be all fired up and just pissed off and ready to rip. And then the next day I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have gone that far. Maybe I shouldn't have.
I'm really trying to avoid those
moments.
It's a fine
line.
It is. It's hard because I want to scream at some of these people. But that doesn't seem particularly helpful ever.
Yeah, I think, is it going to be effective, I guess, is the probably the question we should all ask. Is whatever I'm doing going to help? Sometimes it does. I mean, I think with power brokers, punching up, there's never anything wrong with punching up. It's just whether you're punching, down or across from you. That's where it can be a little more touchy. And I get it. Like, sometimes I have gone too far. I think that the one thing you'll get from me is that I'm willing to, like, I think a lot of people aren't willing to be wrong or to apologize later or think about their actions. I'm always down for that, and I've probably apologized more than I've been apologized to. But I accept, apologies too. So, and I give them. So I just think that, sometimes shit does get a little, especially in social media. I mean, it's part of the algorithm. The algorithm, like, expects you and pushes you to be edgy and trollish, and it's just kind of the thing, right?
And especially with a story such as this here, I mean, it's emotions are running high, man. It sounds like a lot of the employees were pissed, man, and rightfully so.
And that's the thing that probably gets me going the most, is that I feel like I am the voice for them. And a lot of times I feel like I'm the one who's, I'm on the phone with them. I'm taking the 2-hour-long calls with people who have been through the ringer. I'm listening to their 2.5-hour call from beginning to end on their experiences. And I don't think anyone else is hearing it. So I feel like I have a burden to carry that. And I feel like at times it's a lot to carry. And I do have that on my shoulders. So I feel like sometimes that's kind of my anger. It's like people aren't doing that. People aren't taking it seriously. You know, I am kind of happier recently because I feel like the press has, especially in Boston, has picked up on the story.
I was
And
going to say,
they're doing
yeah.
that stuff. So, you know, I think it took a little of the stress off my shoulders on that too.
So can you tell us how the Globe ended up picking this up? And for everyone listening, we're talking about Lorna McMurray, this incident in Holyoke, Massachusetts at the Trulieve factory. But I also saw that the Globe picked it up, and fucking hey, good for you, man. How did that happen?
You know, it's funny because I was bashing the crap out of the Globe because I didn't feel like they were covering it. I felt like there was a vendetta against me personally because some shit when happened, you know, between me and a
Did they
reporter.
use some of your work without citation?
Well, they originally did, but I'm not even sure if it was completely without, because later on I saw they did have my name in that first story, but they didn't say the Young Jurks. They didn't link to us. But, you know, I actually, at first, I didn't think they even put my name in there. But I don't know if it got added after. I just missed it because it was so far out of the story. But, you know, the first story was a cut and paste, and it came days later. It was like, this is all you're going to do. You know, I was pissed because it's like, you guys have ignored this story for basically 5 years. You know, before Lorna, there was a lot of other workers who complained about unsafe work conditions and the asthma and things that we've been reporting from dispensary to dispensary for the last 5 years. So there was a part of me really upset. Like, you could have done something, you didn't, and you're still not doing it. And you're still, you know, it felt like a cover up, felt like they were embarrassed by it. But then I started going nuts on them on Twitter and Facebook and social media, and people were definitely responding. And then a couple days later, I think they came out with an op-ed from the Boston Globe editorial team that basically was awesome. It was just like, wow, I can't believe they wrote this. I could have written this. This is like, they just went right to the heart of it, you know, and talked about the Cannabis Control Commission and how they need to fix this. And then Dan Adams, a few days later, came out with a story where he went to Trulieve while Kim, the CEO, showed up to do some union busting, and they kicked him out of the dispensary, which was amazing.
Well, I'm not laughing at that part.
Well, I am, because like I am. I'm calling the Globe, right? I was calling them Chardonnay drinkers, and like, you know, basically they're nice. They're too nice. You know what I mean? They're too comfortable. That's the you know, and I'm looking at Dan Adams and I'm like, I don't think this guy, like, he's unlike me. When I was in my 20s, I probably did get kicked out of some clubs. You know what I mean? Like, I was a lot out of control drinking. Even with like fake IDs and stuff. So, you know, like, you know, I was getting into clubs before I was.
Yeah, I can see you being a little rowdy, Mike.
Yeah. But Dan Adams, I don't think he's ever been. I would guess he's never been kicked out of anywhere in his life, and they kicked him out of the dispensary. So that was funny right there.
On what grounds?
I think because he was asking questions, you know. And then
the
CEO comes out, and they don't want to talk to him, and they got the picture of her jumping into her chauffeur limousine and running away. Yeah, and this was like the day after. They put out 2 press releases, one official and one supposedly off the record from a Trulieve management source that attacked the family.
Yeah,
they attacked Lorna, and the next day they're running away.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but what is up with this anonymous source? Do you have any info on that? That seemed weird.
I don't. I mean, we think it's this guy Kimbrough, who's a Republican. I asked him on LinkedIn. He denies it's him. It took him like 4 or 5 days to respond, to say, no, certainly not. I mean, this guy's a clown. They're all clowns. There's a video of him out there where he and another guy, I think Steve Scalise, some like Republican congressman who's a jerk too. And they're both hanging out at this farm, and they got one guy throwing up pigeons up in the air so that they could shoot them.
Like live pigeons?
Yeah.
Okay,
live
not
pigeons.
Like clay pigeons. Okay.
No, live pigeons in hand. Someone just, like, it'd be like me throwing it right here and you shoot it. Like, that's a sport? Like, are you kidding me? Like, T-ball? That's the kind of clown this Kimbrough guy is. So, I mean, that's who they have at Trulieve doing their press releases. And
I was going to say, when I read that statement, it didn't seem like an anonymous source. It read more like a PR statement, really.
yeah, there were two. I don't know which one you saw. They were very similar. So, I mean, the anonymous one attacked Lorna a little more, I think, but they were both very similar
I did
statements.
see the other one as well, which was had a name on it, I believe.
Right, Rob
Which
Creamer or something. Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they said a couple of times, like, sorry, we're new at this, like, or
yeah. We're young.
like twice in there,
Yeah.
they made sure to point that out. Like that's, oh, it's okay now. You guys just don't know what the fuck you're doing.
It's funny after they blamed all these other reasons that it's funny because we don't really know how Lorna died. OSHA originally said it was, the particles, the dust particles. We've done shows. It could be mold. It could be pesticides. It could
Sure,
be
right.
allergy. It could be too much dust particles. We don't
Did
know.
they do any testing, like
Well, they
samples
did do
of,
some testing. They said it cleared them. We don't know when they did the testing.
or
You
who
know,
did it?
yeah, but we don't have the full report either. I'd like to see the documents. I know that they get reports from the testing companies. I would like to see the full report. But they
I
haven't
would
released
too.
any of that. But so we don't know. We really don't know. We know that she collapsed at work twice, two different times, months apart, taken out by ambulance. The second time, 4 days later, she died of a massive heart attack at the hospital. Prior to that, she had complained about asthma, trouble breathing. So this is an ongoing situation
Right,
for
because
her.
someone mentioned in November she was also maybe taken away in an
Yeah, she
ambulance.
was taken an ambulance in November, and then in January, ambulance again and died. And truly, their statement said that it was because of her pre-existing conditions, that she was a smoker and had asthma, which is funny because her friends and family said she didn't have asthma until she started working there.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a pre-existing condition before she started working at Trulieve. It was a pre-existing condition in January because she had started working at Trulieve before January. Yes. In the smoking part, from what I know from the friends and family, is that Lorna was mostly just smoking cannabis. And cannabis at first was from Trulieve, and she was afraid of that Trulieve cannabis because it had mold. And she had told her friends and family that, so she had actually stopped using the Trulieve product. So maybe it was from the smoking. Maybe it was from the smoking the Trulieve product. I mean,
Oh shit.
so I mean, if they want to
Wow.
make up shit, we can we could go down that road. I mean, that's just
That's a great angle
that's
there,
what's so
Mike.
ridiculous about it. We're not making up shit. We're not saying we know she died from pesticides or this or that
Right.
or mold. We're just saying these are likely. Let's find out. Cannabis Control Commission isn't doing their job to find out.
Well, I
Let's
mean, it
do
did
something
seem like
about
the
it.
OSHA report maybe sort of jumped the gun and said, you
Right.
know, or implied sort of that that's how she died, and people sort of jumped on that.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Sure, and
that
then
again, yeah, that shows the dishonesty, I believe, of Trulieve, because the OSHA report originally said it was about dust particles. We reported the story, the media reported the story, and then OSHA, right after because we didn't report it until September. This happened in January. So from January to September, that OSHA report was sitting there. No one saw it. No one knew about it in the press. We didn't know about it. And Trulieve and OSHA knew about it. And on that statement, it said, that it was the dust particles, Keith
I
dust particles, right?
I did read that, and I have that
And then
saved
we report it in September, and next thing you know, it's gone. They removed it from the OSHA. They did an update on the OSHA
to
report.
be
It's no
added
longer there.
later, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I think Trulieve was probably responsible for asking OSHA to remove that. And then Trulieve used that in their press release to make it seem like the press made that up. They were like, oh, the press is wrong. It wasn't dust particles. Well, you didn't, you're putting it out, the statement, like the press made that up. OSHA was the one who said it was dust particles. They were correcting OSHA. They were correcting the bad press, but the bad press was doing a good job. They were just quoting the OSHA document, and again, Trulieve didn't make note of that. Trulieve is very dishonest in their press release, their pushback, in my opinion.
And I do want to talk about it because I thought that was a disgusting reaction, but the OSHA report does appear to have been changed after the fact. I didn't know you could do that. I thought those were kind of official documents.
I don't know how that works. I
Okay,
mean,
cool.
I'm assuming they can do it. They did it. I mean, I'm not even opposed to them doing that if it's, based on the facts, which it seems, I think we don't know why she died, but
They should have done that from the beginning, it seems
yeah,
like.
but yeah, probably. But I also want to add, I think they should tell us why they removed it. Like, was
Absolutely.
that Trulieve asking them? Like, I think they should offer a lot more. And that's what
Sure.
Trulieve should. Trulieve is making statements. They're not backing anything up. Where's your documentation, assholes?
Well, Kim
Like,
doesn't look like she's in a real rush to get in front of a microphone.
no, they run away. Make anonymous, put anonymous stuff out there, run away. And then after they fired, let's put it this way too. Trulieve not only went after Lorna about her pre-existing conditions, blamed her death on herself, they also went after a worker the day before that they fired by union organizing in that Framingham location that Kim just happened to show up to from Florida and then ran away from the press.
Oh, that
So
was in Framingham?
yeah, they've
Okay,
bet. Yep.
I thought that
Nope.
was in Holyoke.
Nope, that was a Framingham location. The reason why Kim went to that location is because there's a union campaign happening, and they had fired the worker who was really running, the organizing drive the day before, and they attacked that person too. So they attacked two workers the day before in writing, in the Boston Globe.
In the Globe, and the Globe
Yeah,
runs with that.
yeah. They're attacking workers, but they won't come to, they won't speak on
So what is
camera.
their attack? What is their criticism of these people who are trying to unionize?
Well, they said apparently that the worker was intimidating people or something, or stalking people. It's really weird attack. And now keep in mind, the union has filed charges against them. UFCW has now filed charges against Trulieve for union busting, for surveillance of employees, for illegal firing of an employee, for intimidation, for basically threatening to call the cops on union organizers. They're really getting nasty.
Surveillance, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It, and just from kind of like a stoner perspective, it's just kind of it's something about watching a owner, like when the weed guy shows up, you're happy. Like this
Yeah.
lady shows up, everybody's pissed, and she's running back out to the car with security, and it just, boy, it just, I
Shouldn't
don't
be that
understand
way.
like why they even get into these businesses where everybody hates them. It's
Money,
well, yeah,
money,
obviously,
right? I mean,
but at some point, like these people have to look in the mirror. She's got to have a mirror, right? Like
I don't think they care about Barris. I mean, her husband's right now in federal prison. You know what I mean? Like, and they're not hiding. Like, they didn't do what a lot of people do is, get federal prison and hiding. Shame. They're out there. I mean, he's a major figure in Florida, and she's not ashamed of it. She's at the Benzinga Awards, and the cannabis, mostly the cannabis business journalism has been shit. I am a little more thankful the last few weeks because I have seen folks like Benzinga doing some good coverage. I hope to see a lot more of that. I mean, they should be covering this industry differently than they have. They should be
they should
much
hire
more
me. I'll do it.
skeptical. Yeah.
I do agree with you though, and that's why I've been super impressed with your reporting here because especially in the 24-hour news cycle, stories just get lost in the wash, and these stories don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't even find out for months. Like so, unless you stay with it, you're never going to get the whole story ever.
Right.
One shot in a newspaper is that's never going to be the whole story.
Well,
And
that's why we're here. We get to drill down and tell those stories day after day after day and just keep pounding them. That's what I like. You know what I mean? And it's exciting. Now is an exciting time for people who want to be in journalism, even though journalism has kind of collapsed like the music industry and the radio business and a lot of other businesses. Even the cannabis business isn't that great, right? But journalism, you can do it yourself. You can own it all. You don't need a big network. You can just get it out there. You can just do it day after day after day on your own. I love it now that we have the means of our own production now. So I'm excited by it.
And I found there's something like there's just nothing like, if I scroll through my Facebook news, just garbage, 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 garbage. It's nice to get one story and just grab onto it and get like something about that, because other stories will pop up in there as well, and
Right.
boy, I'm surprised. Boy, the Globe should give you a job, man. They should get you in there. Let you write some guest spots, man. I mean, it seems like the kind of, I don't know. I don't own a media company, but this seems like the kind of coverage you want. It's got teeth to it, These are like real stories, not superficial bullshit,
Well, I will say I have had quite, I used to do a lot more writing. Now I mostly just do the show because it's easy for me. It's nights. I don't have to spend a lot of preparation time. My dog business is so busy right now lately. It's just hard to do any real writing. I used to write for Dig Boston, like weekly, a print publication in Boston, the alt weekly publication. That's awesome. I still sometimes every like 6 months or something, send something to them. They're awesome. But I have had a lot of other publications over the last month hit me up and want me to write for them. Unfortunately, I've said no to them all because I just don't have the time.
Sure. Well,
If the
fair
Globe
enough.
did, I'm sure I would try to find some time, but it's just for me, it's almost like thank God they don't ask because I just don't know what I would do. It would be like, how am I going to find time to write something for them?
Fair.
But I'm just glad to see them start doing that kind of coverage. Like, and there's another guy, Eric Casey in Worcester for Worcester Mag. He went out and talked to this is what I was asking for. Like, if you're a cannabis reporter in America covering this cannabis industry and you haven't gone out and talked to a dozen cannabis workers, what are you waiting for? Go talk to them. They're in your backyard. You don't have to, people are reaching out to me for the story. No, go find the story wherever you live because these big dispensaries are right there in your backyard cultivating, and the workers are getting treated like shit. Go talk to them.
And I did notice a lot of the employees like want to talk. Some of them seem to have NDAs at certain places.
Yeah.
Some of them don't seem to give a shit about that. I actually saw one dispensary up here that wrote an NDA with no expiration date, just nothing. It had the date it was signed and then nothing. So what does that mean? Does that mean they want you to shut up forever? Or does that mean I can talk about it the whole time? Like,
I think it always means know the law where the state you're located in, number one, and know that also toxic dangerous workplaces. Any employee can always talk about a dangerous workplace, the work conditions. You can't say, hey, the weed's moldy. You might not want to buy that as a consumer. You could get in trouble for that, maybe in some states with an NDA. But if you turn around and say, you know what? The mold is making all of us sick at the workplace. They can't do anything about that.
Yeah, there's a whistleblower protections.
Speech. Yeah. With the National Labor Relations Board. So toxic work conditions, you can always talk about. NDAs aren't as powerful as they used to be. A lot of states have new laws that really do protect the workers. So, I think a lot of them aren't as, worth the paper they're printed on anymore, but they want to scare you. And that's what it is. They're trying to scare you to shut up. So, it's always a good idea to maybe talk to a lawyer and say, what can I say make sure you have the document and you read it and you know what's in it, what it says. And you're able to, share that with a lawyer, an attorney. If you don't have it, you can always call the company and say, hey, I need a copy of that NDA. Send me it. They want to enforce it. They have to give it to you so you can see it. So
I just know traditionally they say, oh, this is in place for 2 years or 5 years or
right. Yeah.
That struck me as
unlimited seems illegal. I mean, that seems I can't imagine that
or
would work
non-binding, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to ask you, have you interviewed any of these employees that are trying to get this union going?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm trying. It was apparently it was supposed to happen on Tuesday night, but I don't know what happened. So we'll see. It's something we're hoping will happen.
Has anyone else been interviewing them? Any of the other media in Boston?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I think I may be the first one asking. I'm not sure. But I haven't seen it. The representative at the union the union rep, the employee for UFCW. I know him. I talk to him all the time. He's been on the show, actually, Aiden. So, I'm sure when they're ready, they'll come on the show, and I'm sure they'll be available to other media too. And once you see them on my show, if you want to get them or anyone else, we can work that out. I can help.
I try not to snipe too much, Mike. I feel like
it's fine. I like to get the message out. You know what I mean? It's like we work together.
Me too. And for sure, I've been talking to employees up here from some of the MSOs.
There you go.
One of my first contacts up here worked for one of the MSOs. He was called in to remediate all their mold and powder mildew problems when he came in, and yeah. So, and a lot of their employees are great people, they just like wanted to get into the weed industry. They were like, oh, the first opportunity, like I'm going to jump on it, bang, bang, bang. And now they find themselves working for this, like a company like Trulieve, who just, from all accounts, just, stealing from their employees and shit, and like mislabeling their products, we got people dying in Holyoke. I haven't met one of these big companies that seems to have a corporate culture that's at all positive.
I would say that for the most part. I'm sure there are exceptions, but
I'd love to meet them.
Yeah, I think just go top down. If you're a regulator and you want to see what the issues are, or even a journalist, start, like you said, Trulieve, Parallel, which used to be Soterra, which is also owns Netta. Those are
What's
like the top three.
Soterra?
Yes. Which
Florida?
is now
Soterra Wellness?
Yes, but they've changed their name to Parallel. Say that word.
Parallel.
That's a tough word to say. Parallel.
Okay.
Yeah. So, start with the top three, you know what I mean? And they're all crap. They treat their employees like crap. They got a lot of issues.
How much do they pay? Do you know?
I mean, I think it depends on what state, but we're not talking about great wages. $14 to $20 an hour, I would say, probably tops, that type of wage. I walk dogs
in Massachusetts.
Yep, exactly. Right. I mean, my minimum, as a dog walker is $20 a half hour. You know what I mean? And that's like minimum. Usually it's a lot more. Usually sometimes it's 2 or 3 dogs or 4 dogs. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to live now on $40 or $50 an hour in Massachusetts. Like, it's that expensive. People don't, some places are saying, oh, well, these jobs are going to be $30 an hour. I don't see them. But even at 30, I'm just kind of like, rent at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. It's just the rent. We're number 2 now. They just came out with their thing. Boston is just past San Francisco, second most expensive rent in the nation. I mean, yeah. So yeah, it's really difficult for workers.
Yeah, and it's always, boy. One thing I wanted to try to tie in here was a lot of these. I've been watching some of these the bro investor groups, these MSO gang, whoever, I don't know, the Chads in there.
Yep,
and it does seem like, on top of the shitty management that seems to be everywhere, you got these investors who really, they don't give a shit about weed. They just want to make money. So and if you've ever watched them on Twitter, oh my God, dude, just
MSO gang. It's like, it reminds me a lot of the Elon Musk.
Some awful people.
They're not good guys. They're mostly dudes. Let's put it that way. Most of them are dudes, and they're get rich quick guys.
Yeah.
They're not guys that work hard for 10 years to, stick to a plan and get ahead. They're dreamers. They think that they're going to be smarter than everyone else, and they're going to pull the lottery ticket, and the lottery ticket is cannabis. Cannabis is going to go through the roof, but they're morons. Like, they're basically morons, because, I'm an investor. I buy stocks all the time. I was a stock trader, stock financial advisor, Series 7, all that stuff. Not, I know other people are going to say, well, that's kind of a low rung security license. It is, but I had other ones too. IAR, still kind of low rung, but still starting to, manage real money. Right. And, I've always been interested in that stuff. That cannabis space is the biggest loser space. It's like investing in radio right now. Like I have a radio stock, Entercom. It's getting killed. It's down 80%. Like I would never pour any money into Entercom right now. It's just, and it's the same issue as cannabis. They got so much, like, it's not even radio's that bad, which it is. It's also that radio's so bad, and they bought 1,000 stations and have so much debt to finance that they can't afford to finance. That's what's the problem with Entercom. Same thing in cannabis. These companies like Curaleaf and Trulieve are paper tigers.
500
They've got
million.
so much debt.
Like
We don't
back taxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know. And they all owe all this tax. It's like the worst investment ever.
Well,
So
Curaleaf,
I think
I'm sorry, the Trulieve deal. So Slang bought up the 2 dispensaries in Vermont, and Trulieve wrote them convertible debt for that.
right, more debt. And how's that going to get paid off? Like, and so these guys have invested in the worst.
Right, and their weed's not good.
Scam.
That's the thing. If they had a good product, that would be one thing. But these people don't even know what good weed looks like, and they're just dumping money.
And so, it's like kind of like when someone invests in a Ponzi scheme.
My favorite.
A lot of times that they know it's a Ponzi at a certain point, and they're still trying to sell their friends on it. Or one of these ML, what do they call those?
Or there's the denial. A lot of people get in denial, like when they're in a Ponzi. They don't want to admit that
you can't admit it. You can't admit it. You made a mistake. And it's like, that's what a lot of these dudes are. It's like, dudes, you're not going to make it. These companies are not going to make you money, number one. And they are shitty companies, shitty product, shitty, and you're shitty now.
Right. It's like very impersonal. It's like you have no connection to the business or the plant or the quality of it. It's just about the stock price. And then, these kind of pressures from shareholders, I feel like, are really driving the management to probably cut a fucking ton of corners and, short staff their places, maybe things of that nature.
Oh yeah. And it's so funny too, because they're like, what's big, what's Curaleaf or whatever it is. Once big cannabis gets this, there's no turning back. No one can compete with them once they get the market. It's like, have you been to Maine? Curaleaf can't compete. They're like at, half the price of everyone else. And I wouldn't go to the,
I'm told Curaleaf I'm not going to Curaleaf.
I'm going to everywhere else because there's so much better product. I'll pay twice as much in Maine, like $50 an ounce, and Curaleaf can't give it away.
I've never seen anything fire coming out of those MSOs. I have seen a lot of good products from Maine.
Yeah, they cannot compete in an open market.
Well, they don't know how to grow weed. It seems to be the problem. And they're doing it on such a scale also that the quality is going to suffer. So you're just compounding the problem.
Exactly.
I've heard
it takes a lot of work to grow weed the right way on a large scale indoors. Like you have so many negative things going against you. I think even large scale outdoors is going to be difficult.
Sure.
You do indoors on top of it, I think it's even harder.
And then finance goons think they could just like throw money at it. It's going to turn out great. It's like, it's not how growing plants work. You got to get your hands in there. Well, it helps, anyway. It really sucks the fucking soul out of the whole industry when I see these like fucking vampires, man.
Yeah. We got to keep fighting for the little guy. And, I think we also have to recognize too, that we need more advocacy that is pro cannabis, but skeptical of all the bullshit. Like, I feel like so much of the pro cannabis space has just been cheerleading lately. Just been like, see no evil, hear no evil. I'm supporting everything because it's cannabis. And that's actually what's effing us. Because if we're not critical and cleaning up our own space, our own cannabis space, these guys who are prohibitionists are now using my shit to promote anti-prohibition. It's like, that's not good. Like we need to clean up our own space, so these prohibitionists are going to do it for us. And that's what I'm really worried about.
That is true. There's a lot of those out there. And before I forget, I've been meaning to ask you the whole time, what has the CCC's response been to this whole thing since we checked in here?
Nothing.
Or at all? Nothing.
I mean, I don't see anything. The only thing I've seen is one commissioner, or 2 commissioners, 3 commissioners said something at a meeting, at a hearing. One of them really seemed to mean it, but I've seen, the new chairman has come on board. I noticed she started following us on Twitter. That was kind of exciting to
They got a
see,
new
but
chairman.
yeah, and she's following us on Twitter, and she might come on the show eventually, which I'm
Cool.
excited about, hopefully.
Hey, I had the chair on
Shannon
my side.
O'Brien. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. And I feel like most of them are new, so it's kind of hard to blame it on them when most of them are brand new, really. Like even the ones who've been there, probably like, kind of the intermediate like length of stay for the current commissioners was like 1 year. Like most of these folks haven't been there. They've been there a year or less, so it's almost like not the commissioner's fault, I feel like, but they're in the hot seat. They need to act, and they need to really like hold the management, the executives who have been there for the 5 years, who aren't the commissioners. They need to hold their feet to the fire and say, what the hell's going on? And how do we change this so that we know what's going on immediately when someone dies?
I mean, if you're not going to hold people to the fire for this shit, like you pretty much can't, ever yell at anyone ever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I feel like they haven't done shit. I'm still
what are their
sticking that
options?
the
Do you know
cannabis
what their
control
options
was a
are
cover
in
up.
terms of how they're allowed to react to us? Like
I
I
mean,
know
they
that,
could do so much. How about a survey of all the employees? How about every cultivation site gets a survey done by the state with professional occupational people to come in? And I don't mean that you have to interview every single employee, but how about just, offering the survey to all these cultivation sites and getting a few employees, and get a survey of a few hundred people in this industry and find out what are the problems? What are the health issues you're dealing with?
how about masks?
What should we be looking into? And ask them, like, what do you want to see because the employees know what their risks are. They know what's being ignored. So I would start right there with the employees. They do surveys of, social equity applicants and this applicant and that applicant, which is great. But they've not done nothing for the employees. So start right there. You mentioned masks. I think respirators should be like a requirement now. I think respirators, anytime you have cultivation on a large scale, it should be offered, should be available. There's a lot more they could be doing. I feel like, mandating CPR training. I feel like they could be doing real investigations of these places, finding out if there is a pesticide. Is it pesticides? Is it mold? They need to send scientists into these places and find out what is giving young people asthma. Like that should be their focus right now.
Do they
And
have
how about
do they have that
suspending some of these bad actors? They've never suspended anybody. They've fined them. There's been 5 years.
Is that within
Cannabis
their
control,
authority
no
to do?
suspensions.
Are
Yeah, they
they?
can.
Yeah.
They can. And
I
I
know
think they're afraid.
the punishments in Vermont. I know you got to rack up a couple in a 3-year span, maybe, before it really builds up to even the point where you could risk getting your license pulled. But God, man, I feel like somebody dying in your facility has got to be like, hey, you no, like we
Right.
could definitely
Like
pull your license right now.
like on St. Patrick's Day weekend in March this year, there was a bouncer who got into a fight with a guy who was trying to enter the bar, a patron. And the guy walked away, said something, and the bouncer went after him and got in a fight with him and stabbed him and murdered the patron to death. That restaurant within like a week had their entertainment license suspended. Within 3 weeks, that license had their alcohol license suspended indefinitely. Like if a city board for Boston can do that for an alcohol retailer, less than a month, why are we still waiting a year? Like it's been a year now. It's going to be a year. November's coming up. Like eventually it's going to be a
They
year.
shut things down.
It's been 10 months. Why haven't they done anything?
Yeah. Like alcohol related events. Like I was a bartender for a long time. Like, bro, you fuck up, they'll sue everybody in the place, the owners, the bartenders. It's,
sometimes it's not even their fault. Like I was a bartender waiter too. You'd be so afraid that you serve someone one drink and they go over to the next place and have 10 drinks and you get in trouble. Like
right.
It is really a lot of liability in the alcohol industry where I don't think the cannabis space feels it like that.
Well, clearly there's, I mean, I've I've never had anyone die where I was working, so I don't know what that's like. But I mean, clearly, if you said, a bouncer stabbed a guy to death?
Yeah. Yep.
Boy, and what did you say? A month they were shut down?
Within a month, they had suspended their both their entertainment and the liquor license within a
Was
month.
there any criminal charges?
Oh yes, yeah. There's criminal charges against the bouncer. Yep.
And
I think
honestly,
he's up for some kind of murder charge. Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely. I'm not a lawyer, but to me, this seems like for sure negligence. Like, if you're putting your employees in a place where they could potentially die from just like breathing in the air, that's on you. It has to be.
Right. Right. And yeah, it would be one thing if someone just collapsed out of the blue and they did have pre-existing conditions, but there's a record here of someone who has been complaining about asthma since the time they started working there, and they collapsed twice and were taken out twice by ambulance. I mean, and then the second time they die. I mean, I don't need to see much more than that, and especially after all the years of complaints about asthma. And she's 27. She's 27. They're trying to say smoking led to her death, her pre-existing condition of asthma and smoking. That's what Trulieve ruled. I don't know about you, but if I go to a doctor and say, hey, doc, I smoke cigarettes, I'm 27. Do you think I'm going to die next week? They're going to laugh at you. No one dies at 27 from cigarettes. They die at 50, 60, 70, or even 40. Like, you don't die at 27 from cigarettes. That's like, I had bladder cancer in my early 20s. My doctors are still like, that doesn't happen. Like so there is always an exception to the rule. But when I had bladder cancer as a young person, that was rare, very rare. Most people get it 40, 50, 60, 70. It's just the same thing with, dying from cigarettes. You're not seeing 27-year-old dying from cigarettes. That's just crazy. Or, smoking cannabis or smoking anything.
Even, I'm going to say this, even if she did die from smoking cigarettes, the response from the company just seems fucking cold, man. Like, sorry. How about sorry? Yeah. Like, maybe you could start there and we could figure that, but there's never any sorry. It's always,
how about reaching out to the family? How about even communicating with the family?
Haven't reached out to the family at all.
No.
Wow.
I talked to the family. There's no one from Trulieve. The family's getting all their information from the media and me. Like, Trulieve is giving them nothing. It's
disgusting.
That is. And the Cannabis Control Commission, too.
That shit hurt my feelings, dude. Like, I'm not
and think about it too. Like, if one of my friends or family has a bad accident or death like this, and I know they're hurting, the first thing I might think of is like, maybe we should do a fundraiser for them. Trulieve hasn't done anything like that. They haven't like offered a Kickstarter and, we're going to give the first $5,000. They have done nothing. They have not offered this family nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, how about doing something for the family? How about saying, you know what?
Great
we
point.
think this is awful. We don't feel like fine. We don't feel like we're at fault, but we're going to give her $10,000. And we're going to do a Kickstarter. Anyone, that raises any, kicks any more money in, we're going to match it. They could do so much. They've done nothing except cover it up and attack her and her family.
Yeah, which is just, kind of insult to injury, man. Like, honestly, I felt like they would have done better just to not fucking say anything.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
why did they even put that statement out? Like, who? Yeah. They had to sit in a board. They probably passed that around and proofread it.
Unbelievable. And you're so right on that, because it's like, the story. A story like this was hot. It was really hot when it got broken. Everyone in the world was talking about it. And it was just about dying down. And then they put out their stupid statement, and it gives it another like week of, just headlines. It's the stupidest PR ever. It just shows you how shitty of a company they are.
Seriously,
if they can't handle simple shit like that, like, you wonder what's actually going on in the agricultural site. It's like, it kind of gives you an insight how effed up this company really is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just that's some soulless corporate fucking swinery right there.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about that, man. That shit that's just disgusting.
I mean, how do you listen to that stepdad and the mom? I mean, you got the audio. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I
Yeah, I
was
heard the
listening to it
recording.
live. I was like, didn't know what to say. Like, it was just so, that was like the hardest shit I think I've ever recorded. And these guys come back with that shit. It's just like unbelievable.
Yeah. It's not though. Here's the thing is that it's become so commonplace. It's just not unbelievable anymore. That's
I know,
exactly
right?
how I expect these companies to react every time. Immediately, they distance themselves from it. They try to point fingers. They muddy the waters with a couple of news stories. There's never just like a fucking, hey, sorry, we fucked up. And honestly, I probably have a little more respect for them at the
I
end of the
would
day
too.
if
You
they
know,
just admitted that.
yeah. You talked about big cannabis, like are there any ones that like kind of do it right or have a culture? Well, I'll give you an example. I'm not gonna say they're the best company because I think recently there have been some issues with them, but there's like a company that came in and bought a brand in Massachusetts. So the company's a Canadian company called Air, but before that it was Sierra Naturals and Boston, Massachusetts, right? Somerville, they had a location. Sierra, before they got bought by Air, they had a mold outbreak. Same time that New England Treatment Access had a mold outbreak. And Sierra at the time didn't do what Netta did. They didn't deny, lie, cover it up. They came out and said, you know what? There is an issue. We've thanked the customer for letting us know. We're, sorry that this has scared our, customers online. We've taken care of it. There was a mold outbreak. We did take care of it. This was the batch number. They were totally transparent about it. And I'm pretty sure the guy, actually, the CEO, I know he come on our show. I think he came on our show even during that period of time and talked about it. Like they did it the way that you're supposed to handle it, where the other companies covered it up. And it's like, who are you going to trust? I'm going to trust the company that's honest about it, that's proactive, that wants to fix the problem. It's not that hard. Shouldn't be that hard.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, fuck ups happen, man. It's when you're growing plants, man. A lot of things can go wrong. Like take a little ownership. It's fine. We'll get over it. We'll move on to the next one.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm making note of that. I'd like to see a little bit of honesty in the corporate world here. It definitely just that's really the one complaint I get about all these MSOs. It's just this sort of shrouded in this secrecy, especially the medical dispensaries. It's like everything's HIPAA protected, and so you
Well,
can't get
that's
any.
funny you bring up HIPAA too. Were they HIPAA protecting Lorna when they revealed that she was a smoker?
Oh.
And that she had pre-existing conditions?
Hmm.
I mean, that was weird too. And for an employer to do that, it's just
The employer published that first.
really shady.
Jeez.
But they don't care. They're lawless. They're looking into Trulieve, I think they are the most lawless MSO out there. Even beyond Curaleaf. Curaleaf and Trulieve is like 1 and 2. Who's going to be
Curaleaf is just catching on.
Yeah, who's going to be the most outlaw legal company? That's what it seems like, doesn't it?
It does seem like it. Kim's husband is in jail for bribing officials, but it does seem like that helped them acquire a shitload of licenses.
They did.
A lot of real estate out there, and
crime does pay. That's what Trulieve proves. Crime does pay.
It's wild too, watching everybody go through all the background check shit, and meanwhile, the people who running these companies, are doing federal jail time. Like, come on, the guy from Ianthus, who owned one of the dispensaries here in Vermont, had to resign from the board of his own company for stealing $150,000 and just using it for his own, personal expenses.
It's unbelievable. And then they'll say, well, the husband doesn't own Trulieve.
Right, exactly.
That's funny. He constructed all their locations with his construction company.
Did he?
It's funny. He did all the lobbying for them. Funny. He's the political guy that got them open. Funny. Yeah, I think you're all full of shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
I didn't know all that.
It's like saying Donald Trump doesn't own Mar-a-Lago or something. It's just like, come on,
it's like when Nancy Pelosi tells her people she doesn't talk to her husband about the finances at home. Oh, her little insider trading deals. Like,
yeah. Well, it's funny. I almost believe that actually, because I think that, I don't know. Like I want, because I haven't looked enough into that one, but some of these guys do have like trusts where they have other people actually manage the money. I don't know what they do.
Well, they're rich enough
I heard
now.
he's a financial advisor. Is he?
They're-
Does he run his own money?
Who?
Pelosi, the husband.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I
don't
actually
know
don't
about
know. A
money
lot of
'cause I've
them
never
don't.
had it.
But there has been a lot. It's true though. There is a lot of congressional insider trading that goes
Yeah.
on that they have made legal. So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know about her.
Hmm.
I feel I don't want to criticize that family today. I mean, you heard about what happened.
Oh
Obviously.
shit! Sorry. Yeah, he just got
Yeah.
whacked in the face with a hammer or something.
Oh God, it's just
Sorry, Paul. We'll pick it up tomorrow.
yeah. We'll pick up the stock trade and
Yes.
stuff tomorrow.
Mm.
But no, I feel bad for them. It's these people are nuts. I'm going to say something controversial. Why couldn't it be Trump? I'll give myself a trouble today. I mean, I'm not telling people to do it, but seriously, part of me is like, man, eventually these people are going to realize who's been pulling their strings, and they're going to turn around, and it's like when you find out the Wizard of Oz, you reveal the curtain. I really think that some of these people eventually are going to turn on Trump. You watch.
It's going to be interesting to see. You think he's going to run for president again?
No. I don't know. I mean, he probably will, but will he? You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm not gonna lie, the guy's a fucking idiot, but God, that was 4 years of entertaining television. The guy just, boy, he can put on.
CNN is missing it. I mean, CNN. They talk about like,
that was their whole
CNN
fucking
hates Trump.
business
They
model.
love him. They love him. CNN had the best ratings ever with Trump.
When he
They want him
disappeared,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me reel it back in here for a minute, Mike.
Yeah. We're probably gonna get the Secret Service coming to see us now because I said something bad about Trump.
I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm just about at the end there, but I'm curious to hear from you. Like, what would you like to see the commission do about this? Like, and also maybe what can other people do, like in the area, if anyone's listening that might want to like help put some pressure on these people or just get involved in any way.
Yeah. Number one, I think the commission should take this seriously. Should be their number one priority. Like that should be the number one thing on the agenda. We should do nothing else until we make sure that these employees are safe. And that includes finding out what the issues are, doing the survey, bringing in the scientists. Like science should, occupational science, that should lead on this. So that's what they need to do. Number one, take this, your number one number one. As far as everyone else, I would say you could do a million things. You just got to figure out what you want to do. It's a number one easy thing I would say is if you're in Massachusetts, look up the Cannabis Control Commission. They have a website, Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission. And you'll see, like, when you look at their website, commissioners are all listed with their emails. Same thing with the executive director, Sean Collins. Start emailing them. Contact them. Say, hey, you need to take this serious. Like, this has to be number one. Let them know that you're watching and you care about it. And then reach out to your elected officials, your state. Are
they responsive?
Senator.
Is the board responsive or the commission?
Sometimes it depends on individuals. Some are, some aren't.
Okay.
So you have to try. That's number one. Let's find out. And sometimes someone has a relationship with someone. You know what I mean? You might know one of the commissioners. Maybe you knew them from when they were an elected official. So everyone needs to just try and reach out and see what you get back. And even if they aren't responsive, fill up their emails. Let them look at it. They're going to see, even if they don't respond, they're seeing 100 emails every day on this. It's going to affect them. So that's number one. The other things I think you can do is like I said, contact your state rep, state senator, your governor, your attorney general, your district attorney. Contact all those people. Let them know that this is going on. Ask them to make a big deal about it. They can do a lot. You can also support us, the Young Jurks. We have an anchor.fm. You can contribute money there. We also have a Substack, midnightmass.substack.com. We also have a Patreon, the Young Jurks. You can search for us. But, again, if you can contribute, if you can afford that, that goes a long way, helps us get our message out. We're
Give the
starting to
man
run
some
it.
money. He's working his ass off.
Yeah, we're working, and we're starting to actually like, we invest in this. Like, this isn't a big money maker for us at all. It's more of a money loser, but we love it. So we're investing in the equipment, but even beyond that, we're starting to advertise on the podcast apps. Like right now, we're advertising starting November 1st on Castro, the podcast app. Like, it helps us get it out to more people. That's really what we're looking to do with the money. It just helps us market and get more listeners. So if you want to help us that way, but another way to help us get more listeners is to share it with the world, and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribing to us on iTunes, on all those podcast apps you listen to it on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Follow us, spread it around, share it. That would help a lot too.
Now, Mike, do you have any other stories going on, or are you just grinding on this?
Really kind of just working on this right now. I mean, there's little offshoots here and there off of it. I mean, we're working on some. It's funny because this is our show for a long time has kind of had two fronts, cannabis and politics. Usually during election season, we become more politics than cannabis, but this year it's kind of just been all this subject. We did a few interviews like right before this story kind of broke with some politicians. We had a great election primary show. I know that we're definitely doing a general election, midterm, midterm show. So we're going to do an election preview show on the Sunday before the election. So that will be fun. We're also looking for some sponsors for that because we get a lot of viewers on those election shows. So we do have some other things planned. But yeah, we're doing stuff all the time. We just have been really focusing on this, and beyond even Lorna McMurrey. I mean, we've obviously focused probably 80% of our shows on Lorna herself and her specific situation with Trulieve, but we're starting to even branch out like we always do, back into just cannabis workers. How do we help these workers get safe work conditions? That's like become a big mission for us. So I think it's hard to give it up if you haven't seen much progress beyond the headlines. I mean, we love all the headlines. We love seeing the story get more coverage. We love that more people are following us for this story. It keeps us going, but we want to see real progress.
Right. Sometimes the headline is just a quick boner, and then it goes away. It's like, if you don't, you got to stay after, like it's nice to get those little hits because, a lot of times, I mean, at least from what
that
I'm
brings
doing,
change. A lot
of work and there's nothing.
Right.
And then you get something and it just starts clicking. And it's like, wow, okay, bang, like 3 or 4 or 5 months of work. And we finally got one thing to click there. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's, we're just going to stay on it. We want to see progress. We know that the power players are paying attention. They're watching us, listening. So it just, I want them to know that we're not going away. We're not giving up. Like we're going to stay on this. We're going to make your life uncomfortable until you actually do something. That's just.
Oh, here's another thing I think everyone could do to help. Like, don't buy their weed.
Oh, thank you. That's the number one thing. I think that just does. I don't want to have to come out and say that because
I'll say it.
I always get worried about getting sued, but you could say it, and
don't buy it. Fuck
I agree with it. Like I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't see how anyone could go into a Curaleaf or a Trulieve at this point. And tell your friends not to buy it.
I've told all of my friends. Believe me, Mike.
Yeah.
Anyone
tell your friends. That's the other thing. Tell everyone you know. Everyone knows who their friends are that like to consume cannabis. If you have friends like that in Massachusetts or anywhere, have that conversation on why they should not be purchasing at Trulieve. Let them know.
And if you need to know a good weed.
Yep. And I would even be like, it's up to you. Like, I wouldn't push anyone and say you have to boycott.
Oh, no.
Just be like, I just want to make you aware why I'm not. Maybe you should consider it too. Why I'm not consuming a Trulieve. There's a lot of other places we can go to, and I'll feel you'll feel a lot better that you're not supporting a company that badmouths their dead worker.
And honestly, I thought their prices should be cheaper. Like their prices around here seem comparable to the adult use, even though they've
Well,
had every advantage in the world, and they're vertically integrated. And I thought the whole point behind that was to get you like a cheaper product, and it's
right?
not even really cheaper, man.
No, it's a ship product at an
Yes,
inflated price. Yeah, there's no reason to want to buy that crap. And
it's really not.
and when you're talking to your friends and family that are cannabis users, on why not to go to Trulieve, if you have any issue, or you just even start from here, just say, hey, check out the Young Jerks podcast, iTunes, bring it up on their phone, grab their phone, bring up the iTunes Young Jerks and say, hit the subscribe button and say, listen to this for a half hour.
Call
Just
me
play
up.
the episode with
Yeah,
Danny
I'll send you.
Carson or the mom or the stepdad. And I think any of those conversations, anybody listens to those for more than 10 minutes, I think their mind's going to be made up. So I think if you have anyone that's on the fence or someone that you don't want to get into it with, just send them the link. Say, Young Jerks, go listen to these guys. Even you'll learn a lot. You'll be shocked. This is entertainment. Sell it to them as entertainment if you have to, because some people want to be entertained. I don't find it entertaining, but sell it no matter how you have to sell it. Get them to listen to just a few minutes of our show, and I think they'll get the point.
You have your moments, Mike. It's hard to be entertaining and still this shit gets serious.
Yeah.
It's like
Entertainment, yeah. I
like
mean,
to I like
I
to
go
mix
with
up.
what my grandfather. My grandfather was always the funniest guy, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't like what do we say? It was the unintentional funniness that runs a lot in our family. So I just go with that. Like I mean, you gotta have a laugh, right? He bumped his head up. Like I remember he had the video camera before anyone else, and he's a tall guy. And he would constantly bump his head. He'd say inappropriate things. He'd say, Donnie, I bumped my head on the ceiling. It's for midgets. It's like, oh my God, Jim. Like we would just laugh and just like, what's this guy doing? Like maybe I'm getting in trouble now because I said the word midget. I don't know. Is that a bad word now?
Not on my show. I don't care.
That was my grandfather. I'm quoting him. It was a different era.
If the midgets write in, I'll take their letter.
Unintentional funniness. I'm not a comedian. You know what I mean? But I could be funny not on purpose. So I laugh at myself.
I did stand up for 5 years, Mike.
You did?
I did.
I bet you were good.
I'll send you some jokes sometime. I was. Let's wrap this up, Mike.
Do you make fun of yourself or other people?
Oh, I'm not too self-deprecating. That shit gets old. People get sick of it. You throw one little jab in at yourself, and then it's all going at the audience.
Go after the audience.
I'll send you a video sometime. I want to leave you the last word though. If you got anything else, I feel like we did a good job there. But Mike Crawford.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get canceled now because I said a couple things on this show, either by the Secret Service or the leftist groups that should love me. But anyway, on my last word, I guess, was don't cancel me and support the Young Jerks. Like seriously, we could use all the support we get. Subscribe to us, follow us on iTunes, especially Twitter. We're all over Facebook. We're on LinkedIn now. And I would say whatever you're doing, do it well and keep doing it. Like enjoy it. If you find something you like, whether an artist or a journalist like we do, just do it. Like, and don't. My advice to everyone on this kind of stuff, people hit me up all the time. How are you doing? How are you finding success? I just say, don't worry about the success or long term. Just enjoy the moment. Like enjoy the work of it. Like for me, like everyone, I'm always caught up in how many followers, how many listens, how many this, how many that. We all are, right? But in the end, it's not like that's not what it's about. It's it's nice when it happens. It's starting to happen to us at times. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Who can figure it out? You know what I mean? Like the Twitter machine. Yeah. Sometimes something's huge. You don't know why. It's just weird. But enjoy it. Just do it. And then when you enjoy something, there's usually a reason why you're enjoying it. Like for this is our mission. It makes me feel good that I'm helping to speak up for employees. So that's my mission. That's all I care about now. And if it gets the views, of course I want more views for it because it helps the mission. It helps the employees. But I just enjoy doing it. Knowing that these employees have someone to call, to talk to, and that I'm that guy, that gives me like purpose in life. And I think that's what everyone needs, is to find more purpose. I think a lot of the alienation, a lot of the problems in the world is that people don't have any purpose. They're working these crappy jobs. They're so tired. They have no time for anything else, family, friends. So you got to find purpose in your free time. You know, if you have a couple hours a week, find something, whether it's a hobby, whatever it is, find purpose and do it and enjoy it. And don't worry about where it will go, because you don't know. I when I started this stuff, I
That's
had
the
no
fun
idea.
of the game.
Yeah, you never know. You know, just enjoy it and do it. That's my advice for everyone.
Cool. All right. I'm not going to talk anymore. We'll leave it there.
I could go on and on, right?
No.
Get me going, and we're two tacos.
Mike Crawford, the Young Jerks, Boston. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you, Caleb.